I'm going to call this meeting to order, and I just wanted to quick, before we stand up and do the pledge, just introduce, we have a photographer here tonight. His name is John, and I just wanted everybody to know that this is someone that we have expected to have come. You're all set? Now, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, I just thought of something that Megan always gives me, a little thing with everybody's name on it, and I check it off and I do the roll
Oh,
call.
goodness.
Okay,
Well, your
we're gonna-
executive
we'll wait.
assistant missed it and I will get it next time.
okay, and I should have noticed the absence of it before.
You might find it under the term motion tracker.
Thanks for the note.
Great.
I forgot about that.
All right, this is gonna be hard. All right, we'll just have to go around. I'll call the roll. Deb, here. Glenn,
Here.
Beth, here. Gail,
Here.
Mark,
Here.
here. Yeah. Jessica, here. Okay, I heard from, Karen, who said unfortunately she's not able to come. And I didn't hear from Kim one way or the other, so I don't know, what's going on there. And it's Crystal. And Crystal, I didn't hear from Crystal either, so I don't know there. But do we have a quorum? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, okay. All right. We have a opportunity for any public comment, if anybody would wish to address the board on an agenda item today. Anybody online? Any of our board members online at all? No, okay, all right. All right, there'll be another opportunity later. We'll go on to the agenda. Does anyone wish to add or change the agenda? If not, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as written?
Approve the agenda as presented.
Support? Support. Or by Beth? Any discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Anyone see anything in the minutes that we should amend? Or any, I always forget that the minutes are all in the consent agenda. If not, then I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted. Somebody?
Chair.
Support? Support. I did notice that our CEO search committee minutes, are they going to be part of the consent agenda? Or are they kind of like non-official?
They're actually, should be handled, perhaps distributed as a separate item during the presentation of the executive committee report.
Okay, so we don't have, the board doesn't have to approve those minutes?
No.
The executive committee or
Well-
the, I guess the search committee then approves them as they go.
That's your call. Did we make print out copies?
There are
You got it. Excellent.
copies here, the draft ones. So we haven't, the search committee hasn't had a chance to
Right.
approve them yet.
So perhaps we should include in the motion for the future, the previous minutes, which you've seen but did not have a chance to review, that were presented during the last meeting.
Yeah,
So the answer to the question is yes, but we'll have to work that in there.
okay. So from now on, we'll have
Yes, thank you.
another thing to approve. Okay, all right. Jessica, your first,
Oh, my turn, huh?
oh, and you know what? Did I tell, well, you kind of know that you need to make a report.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm not.
Well, today we heard from Provider Network and Self-Determination. We heard from Amy Kettering and Mallory Markovich. Mallory. Right? Did I say her last name right? Mikovich? Provider Network is responsible to oversee the entire network of service providers. They're responsible for the services directly given to clients. Other stuff like cleaning, things like that, I think that's financial. So Andre, would that be you? So Andre would have to take care of that stuff. But the Provider Network does the others. They made a lot of good changes this year. They updated their website, both the Provider Network and Self-Determination, providing families with more information as well as the providers on where to find things, how things are done, just a whole bunch of stuff on the website. Provider Network also negotiates, I did not know this, but they negotiate the rates for providers except for SUD and autism rates, which they told us were either set by the state or federal. So every other rate that we do with providers, they negotiate for us within those contracts. Self-determination. My notes all over, so you'll have to forgive me. Right now, it looks like we have about 150 arrangements in self-determination. They get about 4 new arrangements per month, but then they also get about 4 disenrollments, is what Mallory called them. And they have about 140 staff for the self-directed staff. And she indicated we receive about 8 new staff referrals per month on that. Like I said, lots of quality improvements through both the Provider Network and the self-determination. Just lots of good updates, lots of things to celebrate. They've been just really doing a good job. Apparently there's like one person that does all the reviewing for the Provider Network. When they oversee that, there's just one staff member responsible. There's one staff responsible for the self-determination. And in my head, I'm like, wow. So that's really great. So I give that team a lot of praise because it seems to be a lot of work having to handle all those contracts with all the providers that we have. So we were supposed to hear also from the ACT team, but that's been pushed to October, so I don't have anything from you on there. Gina gave us a little rundown. Things seem to be going good. The assessment access team is fully staffed now, which she was happy about. And now she has to, we have to hire people in other areas. Couple other managers, was that correct, Tina? And maybe a supervisor role, I think you indicated. So that's kind of ongoing. They're got some candidates indicate they're interviewing for that. So all in all, I think that they're doing pretty good. Did I miss anything?
I don't think
For those from being in that?
that covered a lot of it, yeah.
I think I got it all. Oh, and another big thing, the DBT is started 2 weeks ago and they have 8 clients now. And it's going really well. That's what we heard. And for anyone interested, Gina did express it on, I believe, page 22 in our packet. There's a flyer in there. So if you guys want to share, it's for parents. They're doing a parent group. It's right in our packet. So be sure if you know anyone who might benefit from this, just feel free to share it with them. It's for caring for children who have experienced trauma. It looks like it's every Wednesday this spring. Dates and times are on there. So if anyone knows anyone, share it far and wide. Let them know. That's it. That's all I have.
Any questions for Jessica?
Yeah,
No. Please give us a report.
okay, starting over on page 5 with the administrative services. Everything's going well. They're looking at the supervisor's training program, with Raymond as consultants. Meet the management team is going well. Folks for fun, he had a crock pot cook-off. Probably the most, I don't know, operational thing is that in the information technology on page 6, They are moving the 365 tenant migration to a commercial cloud. It's been on a government cloud. And basically, this is a security type reason of moving over to the commercial cloud. Fair enough? Fair enough. So that's really all we have for administrative. Moving on to page 7. We have to pay the bills. So I recommend, or make the motion, that the OnPoint board approve the March 2026 disbursements totaling $4,285,593.52.
Any support?
And support.
Support. Any discussion? Go around start with you again, Deb?
Yes.
Glenn? Beth?
Yes.
Alice says yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, on page 8, we have to add a provider to the contract list. So I make a motion that the OnPoint board approve the following list of provider contracts for fiscal year 2026. It is 70x7 life recovery.
Any support for that motion?
Support.
Support by Jessica. Discussion? Just for fun, we'll start with Jessica. Go this way.
Yes.
Marcia?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes. Yes.
Alice says yes.
Yes.
Glenn?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, moving on to page 11. On the far right column, under the Medicaid subtotal, 940,000 roughly is planning on going back to the LRE. The CCBHC total is in the black at 56,000. The general fund currently stands at about 318,000 going back to the state. These are based on February's numbers, as you know, it lags a little bit to get everything through the system. As for February CCBH visits, they were over their budgeted visit count by 39, and overall year to date, they're just below at 129 under the budget visits for CCBHC. With the historical trends, they'll probably make that up in the next few months. So everything is looking really good. The net position on page 12, between cash and cash equivalents and investments, there's about 5.7 million in cash equivalents, and that's a real strong, solid number. Everything looks quite well. Andre basically gave us a big thumbs up for the month. Down on the unrestricted, for the net position, we're at 3.7 million down at the bottom of the page. Then page 13, pretty much on the statement of revenue and expenses, we're at 41.67% of the year through February. Our revenues were at 40%, and the operating expenses were just under that at 39.8%. So we're holding our expenses to our revenue, which is good fiscal management. Overall change in that position, 218,520. So once again, healthy, going strong. And as Andre said, everybody just keep doing what you're doing because it's working. Why I rattled through that so fast, though, is because we have our auditor once a year, William Hirschman. He is from Roslyn and Prestige. Okay, and they do our audit, and he's here to report out on it, so come on up.
Good evening, everyone. I met with the finance committee a few minutes ago, so we're going to get to hear the same presentation again. But what's in your packet, for those of you who weren't in the meeting, the finance meeting, is just a summary of what's in the full report. There's nothing in there that's new. It's just pages I took from there. And what I did is I summarized that, and I highlighted the key things that I think you should be aware of, the takeaways that I think are the most important thing you should know if you're a board member. And there's actually 4 big ones, and I'm going to start on the independent auditors report and cover those 4 right off the beginning. So the second page into your handout, under the opinion paragraph, again, I'll be reading primarily the highlighted areas. We've audited the accompanying financial statements. And then next to item number 1 there, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. What we're saying there is the financial statements, in our opinion, are a fair presentation of where you were at the end of the year, okay? It's the highest level of assurance you can get, so it doesn't get any better than that. And that paragraph, excuse me, applies only to the basic statements and the related notes, so pages 1 through 4 of your full report. That's all the auditor's opinion covers, okay? And if you flip to the second page of that letter, under the required supplementary information paragraph, this applies to the management discussion and analysis, which is the remaining parts of your report. And again, reading the highlighted areas, we've applied certain limited procedures to the required supplementary information, which consists of inquiries of management about the methods of preparing the information and comparing information for consistency with management's responses to our inquiries, basic statements, and other knowledge we obtain. So we read the management discussion analysis, make sure that there's nothing in there that's inconsistent with what we saw during our audit. And then item number 2 there, and again, the salmon colored, we do not express an opinion or provide any assurance on the information because the limited procedures do not provide us with sufficient evidence to express such an opinion. Okay, so independent auditors report, opinion on the statements and the notes. We do not issue an opinion on the balance of them. Okay. Any questions on that? Items 3 and 4, the other 2 big takeaways. This is in our government auditing standard letter where we issue a report on internal control and a report on compliance. Second paragraph there, we consider the CMHSP's internal control over financial reporting as a basis for designing audit procedures that are appropriate for the circumstances for the purpose of expressing our opinion. So we test the internal controls over receipts, disbursements, and payroll, et cetera, in order to understand the system so we can design our testing. But it's not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of those controls, so accordingly, we do not. However, if we do find deficiencies in internal control, we would identify them down a couple paragraphs later. Item number 3, during our audit, we did not identify any deficiencies in internal control that we consider to be a material weakness. Report on compliance paragraph, we perform tests of compliance that have a direct and material effect on the financial statements. Providing an opinion on compliance was not an objective, so accordingly, we do not issue an opinion. So we test compliance. We don't test it extensively enough to issue an opinion. However, if we had non-compliance matters, we would identify it in that paragraph. Item number 4, the results of our test disclose no instances of non-compliance or other matters that are required to be reported. So regarding internal control and compliance, there were no issues. Questions so far? Page 1, you kind of touched a little bit on the current net position. This is your net position back at the end of September. Net position is the net of all your assets, long and short term, less all your liabilities. Again, long and short term, and that total net position at the end of September was $6,765,000. The portion of that is unrestricted that can be used for mental health services and not restricted for capital assets or your USDA loan is $3,342,000. So a pretty healthy fund balance, our net position. Page 2 shows how that net position changed from the prior year. It's your revenues, expenses. So the revenues of $46,912,000, less expenses of $45,766,000. And then there's some other non-operating items that gives you a change in net position of $1,064,000. If you were a for-profit entity, that'd be a profit for the year. So you did increase your net position for the year. Page 14 is coming from the notes, the financial statements. I put this in here just to kind of give you a little heads up that there are two GASB pronouncements. Number 103, financial reporting model improvements. This note kind of details some of the changes that are coming as a result of that pronouncement. And then GASB number 104, disclosure of certain capital assets. Again, that note kind of gives you a little highlight of what is involved in that. So those are the two main things that are coming down the pike that you'll have to deal with in this next coming year or two. Last page, communication with those charged with governance. You should have gotten this in the mail, hopefully. This is a nice letter because it talks about the relationship between the auditor and the client and lays out a few things that we're required to communicate to you. Second paragraph there, no new accounting policies were adopted. No transactions entered into by the CMHSP where there was a lack of authoritative guidance or consensus. All transactions have been recognized in the statements and in the proper period. The next section details the most sensitive estimates that are incorporated into your statement. It's basically related to compensated absences and estimated lives of capital assets. Near the bottom there, we encountered no significant difficulties dealing with management. Professional standards require us to accumulate all known and likely misstatements and communicate them to the appropriate level of management. None of the misstatements now on the next page detected as a result of audit procedures and corrected by management or material. There actually were none. Obviously, they weren't material if there were none. Disagreements with management. We're pleased to report that no such disagreements arose during the audit. We've requested certain representation from management. They have provided us with those. Management may decide to consult with other accountants. To our knowledge, there were no such consultation with other accountants. And lastly, we generally discuss a variety of matters with management. These discussions occurred in the normal course of our relationship, and our responses were not a condition to us as being retained as your auditors. That's a brief overview. Questions on the full report or questions, any other questions? I'd be glad to take a stab at it.
Questions?
Yeah.
Just for the sake of anybody in the audience or online, could you explain what GASB is?
GASB is Governmental Accounting Standards Board, and they are the authoritative guidance committee or organization that issues the guidance that we have to follow when we conduct our audits. We use lots of acronyms.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate the chance to be here. And if you got any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Anything else?
Nope.
Yep,
Alex, would you like a motion to accept the audit as presented?
I certainly would.
I'd make that motion to accept the audit as presented.
I have support. For Marcia? Any discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Gail. The recipient rights committee did not meet today, but Glenn, is there anything to report?
Yes, I was asked by our chair to share my personal updates. This will be my last board meeting. I let them know as soon as I could, but a 2-year plan came to fruition way quicker than we expected. So I've accepted a position down in Florida as a hospice counselor, and I'll be moving there. So before the next board meeting, actually my first day down there is May 18, board meetings May 19th. So I'm sorry for short notice. 2 years, it's hard. It's in a good way, in a good way. So we'll have a new recipients' rights reporter in June.
We talked it over and, Craig Van Beek is the vice chair of the recipient rights committee. And I'll see him tomorrow when we'll be at the LRE meeting. So I'll ask him if he's willing to serve. And hopefully he says yes, and then we'll have a smooth transition then. All right. Well, Glenn,
That's it.
yeah. Good, great news for you. And we certainly will miss you. Okay. It's Stephanie tonight. Any updates for us? A couple maybe.
Yes, I have just a few. Thanks for the opportunity. Stephanie Vanderpoy with Lakeshore Regional Entity. Just wanted to mention a couple things for you. Tomorrow is our Board of Directors meeting, and we're actually going to be doing a board work session at 11 a.m. I'm going to be leading that session, and what it's going to be is for our strategic plan. Our current strategic plan is in year 3 of 3, so we need to work on our next 3-year cycle. So it will be structured tomorrow, similar to if you've done like a SWOT analysis, except I'm not as much interested in the S and the W. I want the O and the T, which is opportunities. So slightly along those lines. And so what we'll be doing is we'll be doing some small work groups to just really get a sense of the 4 pillars that we currently have in our strategic plan, to determine, what do we want to keep? What do we want to add? All the things that are out there and the threats and things of that nature. So we're going to talk through that tomorrow during the work session. It will be very busy. We're going to take the whole time. So just preparing any of you who are planning to attend. And then during our actual board meeting tomorrow, which is at 1 o'clock, it's going to be a merge of the March meeting, and then obviously tomorrow's meeting being April, because in March, we were not able to make quorum. So we're blending everything together for the meeting tomorrow. So it'll be more robust, let me say that. Then the next thing that I do want to mention is with our board meetings, there has been a desire to have some work sessions. And so I've heard that loud and clearly from our board. And so at the May work session, Ione Myers and I, she's our Chief Information Officer, we're going to be doing a presentation on artificial intelligence. Just kind of explaining a little bit about what the basics is with that, but also what are we doing as an LRE as far as, how are we utilizing it? We'll do a small demo. And then we're also going to be talking through our policies, procedures, and how our staff are seeing efficiencies with it. So that will be forthcoming. In the event any of you have interest in that, it will be May 20th, and that will be also on Zoom. Certainly people can join. If it's a presentation that people find helpful, that might be something I own and I would be willing to take on the road if it's helpful. If it's not helpful, please let us know. We'll fix it. So anyway, we wanted to let you know that. The other item as well too is we also have our agency's strategic plan for substance use disorder also in year 3 of 3. Now, this is one that's very detailed. It's very prescribed on how we have to do this by Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. And so we're doing a very similar task right now too with our staff as well as our substance use disorder providers and our CMHSPs that manage substance use disorder to take a look at, again, same thing. What is in the current plan? What do we want to continue to do for the next 3 years? Also updating all the data that we have. We have new youth data. We have new adult data on trends and usage. So we'll be focusing a lot of our efforts over this spring and summer on making updates to our plans. And then, of course, providing opportunities for feedback to our staff, boards, et cetera, just to make sure all voices are heard so that we have a really strong plan moving into next fiscal year for both substance use disorder and then the agency strategic plan. And then the last thing is we completed our annual report. So I'm very excited about that. So I was told there's no time for me tomorrow at the board meetings. So I'm gonna have to wait. And then I'm gonna talk about it in May at our meeting, but I will bring it to this meeting in May and share with you our annual report of all the things we did for fiscal year 25. So I'm sure that concludes my report.
Any questions for Stephanie? Sure, Mark.
You can go first if you'd like.
Well, I'm just curious. Eloise, is that? No, what's the name? Elios. Elios. Is that something you use? That's something we've looked at.
Right, we don't because we are not the ones offering services directly, but yes, you guys are using it, and then others are using something very similar called Clinically AI. So I'm not going to demo those, but we're going to talk about that a little bit at that work session, just to showcase that.
Does the LRE staff use anything?
We use Copilot.
You use Copilot?
Yep, so ours is much more of an administrative function, so it's a little different than how, maybe a CMH might use it. So that's what we're gonna try to talk through in the policies and procedures that we put in place in the guardrails. You need a lot of guardrails with AI.
This is gonna be great. I'm just barely getting the names and all of this, so
I hope it's
this will
helpful.
be very helpful, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mark,
On the strategic plan, work that you're doing for SUD, and you mentioned the new data and so forth, I assume that that is probably able to be broken out by counties, including the Allegan specific. If we want specific data from Allegan County, that's available through that process, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we will have
Great.
that for you.
Great.
And we will also have quarter two's data that also breaks out by county. I should have that
Okay,
in 2 weeks.
good.
anything else for Stephanie? Thank you. And see you tomorrow. Okay, I have all kinds of stuff to report on, and I'll try to be quick. So I have the executive committee to report on and the CEO search committee to report on. I think I'm gonna start with the executive committee because I think after the CEO search, we're kind of gonna move into some things that we need to talk about further. So at the executive committee meeting on Friday, Diane gave us a quarterly compliance report. And part of what she said is that this report, she was able to use her new application that she really loves, that is working very well. She has also joined the management team here, so she's sitting in on meetings, and I think it just brings her a little closer to what's going on, and also having, I'm sure the staff have a quicker, conversation than sending something up to the Upper Peninsula and back. And our schedule here had talked about her giving a quarterly compliance training tonight. And we talked about it in the executive committee meeting, and the recipient rights is doing a training next month too. And so we talked about putting those two together, and Diane said, yeah, Kelsey and I are talking about it. And I said, well, that sounds like a good thing to do. So I'm hopefully going to entertain a motion when we get to it that we can postpone that from tonight to next month. Or I don't know how, because I'm thinking like next month's going to be a little busy. How long can we postpone it? What's the requirements?
But it has to be done annually.
Oh. And when did we do it last?
You last did it in April of 2025.
But technically we have till December. Is that annual or is it 12
The way
months?
the state has been looking at things now is that if you did it in April 2025, you must do it by April 2026. I don't think there'll be a problem with a postponement to June, but I wouldn't go past that.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna advocate. Well, I don't want Diane to get mad at me or anybody else or Mrs. Hartel. I don't want her mad at me either. So. Okay, then, one other factor that we talked about at the executive committee meeting, and that was just that, and I kind of initiated it when we discussed it, just that, asking for an update on a couple of things. I was curious to know what the impact is of the same day access. It happened quite a while ago, and I just hadn't heard anything lately about, how's that going? How is it helping with any kind of a delay? Or remember there was the issues of, people not showing up for appointments and all of that. So I've asked that at some time in the future, we get a report on that. And also I was just curious to know kind of the staff's experience with these efforts to improve efficiency and performance and all of that. And so both of those are topics that are going to come back to the executive committee, and then we'll pass on to you what I hear from that. Then quickly too, just wanted to let everybody know that the CMH conference is going to be here tomorrow practically. It's going to be in June, and Dawn is going to need people to let her know if they're planning to attend so she can set that up. So I might just pass it this way if anybody wants to look at it. It's going to be up in Traverse City, so we'll have to kind of make a commitment to do it. It's not as easy as going to Kalamazoo, but still. And just, do we have anybody outstanding for the conflict of interest. You have all the forms that you need for that. If there was anybody we would,
I think it was just Kim left.
oh, really? Okay. Kim is, all right, good. Then that'll be okay. And just to let you know, I was asked to, be willing to do an interview with a journalist. And, it is someone that, it's an organization that their function is to kind of like spread good news about community mental health. And so, I'm going to be, we've got an appointment on, April 28th. Her name is Estelle. She's going to call me, and bless her heart, she gave me the questions she's going to ask already, so I can ready. And, so I'm not too awful, nervous about that. Any questions about the executive committee report? Okay, then we actually met first, the CEO search committee. So lots of things about that. First of all, I just checked with Dawn as of a few minutes ago. We've had a total of 59 applicants. But, we had that, that baseline of you have to qualify the requirements. And so of that 59, HR has just used that guideline and has said that there are 22 that meet our qualifications for being an applicant. We are going to be, the search committee team is going to be getting training from Dawn to use there's an application that we use for all kinds of HR. And it's called Jazz HR. We're going to learn how to use that so that then the executive committee can go and look at the applicants. And they have a process where if you want to use it, you can use it so that you can look at it all and you can just kind of give a general thumbs up or thumbs down to kind of get the discussion going. So we are planning to look at that and do that kind of review before our next search committee. And Andre gave us a timeline program that everybody, I hoped, picked up a copy of it to just let you know what it looks like. And I can't get my mind right off the bat, but I just wanted you to have your eyes on it. I think it's going to be very helpful because on the top, it gives us the major goalposts that we're trying to meet. And then in the middle, it's the details. And what's in the bottom? Something I forget. Oh, and then the bottom is how the different tasks and the timeline for that. So hopefully this will help us keep on track. And so that we will have a candidate before January 2nd. So there's that. Then at the search committee meeting, one of the main things was we had our attorney, Andrew Brady, came and gave us some guidelines about the legal requirements for us and our search and hiring of a new CEO. And so Mark took notes, I took his notes, and tried to put together this list of the main highlights that I got from it. And basically the bottom line was, because we had talked about whether the executive committee could start to do some preliminary interviews and vice versa. And basically the bottom line just seemed to be that all actual interviews should be done in an open session like tonight with the full board. And although it's interesting that even though the board can't meet virtually, the candidates could. So we might have a candidate there and we're all talking. So that's be interesting. And the thing is board members can be online, but they can't count as a quorum. They can't ask questions, which I was surprised about, but he was adamant about that. And of course they can't vote. So what I'm thinking is that when we meet, we probably aren't gonna get all of us every single time, but at least, we all will be sure to have a forum. And then, anyone else who can't actually physically make it could be online to hear, the questions and the answers and such. So I hope that will be, go fairly smoothly. Then the other things that he told us that, what the board can give a lot of authority to the search committee, but it has to delegate it that. And so, the board could tell the search committee that, yes, rank the applicants and then share that with us. Once we, narrow it down to who we want to offer or ask for interviews with, can we check their references, do any kind of background checks? Can we prepare interview questions and also, Deb had talked that often she's been involved in, superintendent searches, that you kind of have a cheat sheet that you just to make notes while during the interview, so that you can listen but also remember, your opinions about things. So, then the final thing is that the board can meet in a closed session to review all the applicants and make a decision or have a discussion about who they would want to ask back, for interviews. And so, that sounded all pretty doable. Am I forgetting anything in major things that we talked about that the attorney told us? Okay. So then I tried to, put together again, kind of a timeline, or just especially for what the board needs to do at each, board meeting. So like tonight, I'm thinking, we need to decide whether we want to meet in a closed session in May, and whether we want to delegate to the search committee any of these, tasks. And then I think we better get started, have us all pull out our calendars and look in June, because I'm hoping that maybe it would just require one special meeting and then one, use our regular, meeting to, have interviews. Like, I'm thinking, maybe it would be like 4, right? We'd have 2 in the special meeting, and then we'd have the other 2 to come to the, regular meeting. And, then the other thing is, possibly, it will require another, like a second interview, possibly for 1 or 2 people. And so, I think when we look at all of this, it'll fit. So if we do all this tonight, and then at the main one, we choose to go into closed session, we look at the applicants and, decide who to ask to come back for interviews. And then in June, we meet twice to interview. And then in July, we might have to meet twice, maybe once to have second interviews at a special time, or hopefully, we're ready to make a choice at the, regular meeting. But kind of bottom line, I'd like to be able to, be at the end of July. I'd like us to feel like, yep, we're ready to offer, the position to someone. And then, Andre said that it is not extravagant to say that we'll need August, September, and October to negotiate the contract, make sure the contract is signed, and then let the candidate, give notice to their current, position. And then, so if we do all that in August to October, then, by November, that person would be able to start and then start working with Mark until January. Any comments, any questions, anything I've overlooked?
I have one question. The 4 interviews, is that the norm in this Do you interview more or,
It's an arbitrary number, I don't think it's,
okay,
depending on the applicants,
Right.
I don't,
not that,
how do you narrow the, I don't know that we got.
I don't think you have, if you have 10, you have to have a certain, you have to ask 50%. And I can't imagine that there's any kind of requirement.
no,
like
we're
that.
not doing that. We'll be here all summer.
My hope is that when the search committee reviews things and it will really, there'll be some unanimity in our, on our scores. That, so that by the time the full board sees those, we could say, oh yeah, there's, all 6 of us give these 2, definites and then these are the next 2 down and there wasn't any that are like, for example, we were talking a little bit about this, will we have, 6 and 0, votes? Will there, or 5 and 1, and you kind of go down, so you would like certainly wanna, be sure to say that, our first picks would be anybody who was a 6 and 0. I mean,
Mhm.
6 of us said yes, and nobody said no to this candidate, and then go from there. Mark, you've had to hire, does the county board of commissioners hire anybody?
He hasn't hired anybody in 25 years.
Now it's time.
You was hired Ross Searle? You was hired Ross Searle, yeah. He's been there that long? Okay.
Michael Lombardo.
Okay, well, I thought you were gonna give us all this
More
experience.
recent experience.
Well, I have to say Andre's been very helpful and I thought Andrew was very helpful too. I know that, we just need to ask if, and then ask for forgiveness if we make a mistake in any of this, but I feel confident that let me just say this, when I first looked at this, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I feel less of that. I still am not sure, but, I think I can kind of steer us through this and it looks doable to me, today.
I think one of the biggest tools is just having a checklist of, these are the questions that I'm gonna ask every single applicant. So you're asking them, so they're apples to apples, the same type,
Yes.
and how do those compare? And grading them, write that when the interview's over, so that
Yeah,
it's fresh in your head.
right. We, Raymond has given us a list, gave the search committee a list of sample questions that are perfectly legitimate to ask. And kind of, when you want to know this, ask it this way. And so that'll be kind of our next step. The search committee step is to look at those and to make some recommendations about which, and we can present that to the board next month too, to say, this is what we're thinking. And is there anybody else who has questions that aren't on that list? And we can always go back and make sure that that's okay to ask, and this is how you say it, and that kind of thing. Do I ask all the questions, or do you go around, or I don't know.
Or we just,
Yeah,
You can
we go
consider,
around.
everybody takes a question, I think.
Can assign.
Yeah.
Can I delegate it to everybody else besides me?
Anything, have a chance.
in our staff interviews, we always go around.
Yeah, you do go around,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, all right. Well, any other just general comments? Jessica, anything? Glenn, you were at the last meeting.
Yeah, this is his list.
Well, I'll still entertain his opinion. That's something.
No,
You're good? Okay, all right. Well, I guess I would like us to then decide, do we want, let's go through that list and decide if we do want the search committee to do these different things that we can get working on. And
What's on the list?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh,
There we go. Well. I just thought you had it memorized, Beth, and that's why you didn't have one in front of you. Okay. Well, I knew that the search committee, share their ranking. In consideration. I mean, why have a search committee if they don't do anything to, you know, narrow it, start to get it narrowed down?
Exactly. Definitely.
Okay,
And do the check reference. Should I do this all in one?
sure.
Okay, so then I need that, make a motion for that, share their rankings to consider the consideration of the applicants, check the references and do background checks and prepare interview questions. Prepare scoring cards for members to use during their interviews.
Did anybody think of anything else? Let's put it all in one motion. Anything else we should ask the search committee to do?
The references and background checks, isn't that just straight up HR?
It is an HR function. What we've been making sure that we're doing is making sure this is a clear line of separation between the activities of the board
Uh-huh.
and OnPoint.
Yeah.
Itself. So if it's, go ahead.
When you say background checks, are you talking like criminal? Isn't that just punch their name into a iChat or chat or whatever that is?
Yeah, there's a system. Dawn would be able to, since Dawn's fresh out of HR, yes, there's a system in which you would enter in a prospective candidate's name for the background checks, but then calling references is different than
Right,
actually
right.
making, you know, calls.
And couldn't the search committee ask Dawn to do the background check? And, you know, and then we were talking about divvying it up, you know, okay, I'll call so-and-so, you call so-and-so.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
So even though these become our tasks, we still have the ability to delegate them to HR? I'm just the background check thing.
Yeah, the background check, yeah, that could be. You want to do it though after you've got some candidates identified, you are making an offer as opposed to doing it up front.
Okay,
You want to do that's
Right.
we've identified these final two, for example, and we'd like to prepare offers, but before we actually send them out, we want to, you know, call references and conduct a preliminary background.
Mark?
So when I heard Andrew mention that the other day, I was I had a little reaction to that in terms of the sequence he was talking about it. He was talking about in the context of things that the search committee could do to help narrow down the pool of who to identify for interviews. The way that I was trained, and probably the way most of us have been trained, is that interviews are the courteous thing to give a candidate the opportunity to present themselves. Their references, after you have heard them firsthand, can be used to verify your impressions, rather than to bias you ahead of time when the person hasn't even had a chance to speak for themselves. So I've always thought that if you're talking about background checks in the sense of criminal background checks, clearances, things like that, that's no problem because that's invisible to the individual. But if you're talking about trying to gain an impression about someone, it seems to me in most cases, you want to hear from the candidate first and use those references as confirmations of your impressions, rather than, you know, someone says, don't touch that person with a 10-foot pole. Well, we're not going to interview them. Well,
Right, all right. Yeah, I guess I kind of understood it that way too, that this would happen after the interviews. But I was thinking when we're delegating things to the search committee, just to, let's say that now so that
We don't have to do it later.
Right.
if you're talking about background check, yes. If you're talking about reference checks, that should be later, I think.
yeah, but I think what Alex is saying, just the task list.
Yeah.
Can be,
Delegating the,
Oh, yeah,
delegating these
yeah,
tasks
yeah,
over
yeah.
to
Oh, sure.
the search committee.
yeah,
So yeah,
not the actual,
Yeah, you're not gonna have 10 people on the phone.
Right, right.
Okay,
so.
anything else we should be thinking about, whether to task the search committee with or not.
And scoring cards is.
I just use that as a phrase.
Okay, okay, all right,
Whatever you call it.
all right. I didn't know if there was two different things. That's good.
Is there?
Any other discussion? We've got did we get no, we haven't got a support yet, but you have a motion, we have a motion. Anybody support this motion? Support. Support by Jen. Then any other discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Opposed? Motion carried. Yeah, okay. Now, so our normal June meeting would be the 16th. And actually, there's two more Tuesdays in June. So maybe the regular meeting is our first interview meeting. And then the special meeting is like either the 23rd or the 30th.
I'd stay away from 4th of July time.
Oh, I guess that would be, the 30th would be that week before 4th. What day is the 4th on? Saturday. What day of the week?
It's on a Saturday.
It's on a Saturday.
I had to. Sorry.
All right. Well, maybe let's just start with this. How many people could meet any Tuesday in June?
What time? Like 5:30?
5:30.
Yeah.
Well, June 9th is gonna be the conference, so we gotta skip that. So like June 2nd, June 16th, 23rd.
Yes. Why don't we just aim for 16 and 23
Okay.
and put them on the calendar?
16th is our board meeting.
Right, but two of the interviews will be on the board meeting date and
Yeah.
then the
So
other.
really, like the 23rd, like right now, why don't you like pencil in the 23rd
At what time?
at 5:30? Does that work for you, Marcia?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I say that, I better do it for myself.
I love the whole part today. It's been one of the best days.
Okay. All right, and nobody can go on vacation in July. Actually, it's really June that's gonna be more so than July, because then July 21st is our regular meeting. So whether we would, if at the June 23rd meeting, we realize, boy, we gotta ask a couple of people to come back, then we might need to meet sometime in July before our July 21st meening. Because hopefully that meeting, we would be ready to say, we want to offer this position to.
Yeah. Well, why not the week before on the 14th? Because that kind of clears the 4th and before the meeting.
All right, let's just pencil that day in too. Does anybody have a conflict with what'd you say, the 14th?
Yep, the Tuesday before, yep, in July.
Might be a few minutes late, but they'll be close.
Great. So we're talking July 14th and the 21st. And June 16th and the 23rd.
Yep.
Great.
Painless.
Those would be,
Right this minute, right? Best laid plans, so I guess
Uh-huh.
that's.
so those would be public sessions during which interviews would happen. Okay, thank you. Clear.
Like the village council, we have to give, like 18-hour notice before we, schedule a special meeting.
Yep.
Do we need to do something similar?
Same, yeah, we'll
Do we
post.
just go ahead and post them and
We'll work
if we
with you on
don't
an
have
agenda.
them?
We'll work with you on an agenda that meets the purpose of the meeting so that then it's posted in time on our website and the lobby and all that. So we'll work on that with you.
Feel like we're done too soon. Is this anything else that we're missing?
The questions. You know, for the search committee, where are those?
We got those, not Friday, but the Friday before.
Oh, okay, never mind.
We got a list of, I know, I didn't look at them at the time either, and I kind of forgot about them. So we've got those. I suppose if, well, we'll just bring them all when we meet. We'll have our recommendations and then we can give them all and we can all look at them and see if there's anything we want to add, but we'll give it our first go over. I think I'm finally done with, well, I did want to just say, this is one little thing. So, you know, we're gonna have vacancies on the board here. So, I had just, I contacted Amy Cluxton. I don't remember if you, some people don't. She was on the board a while back and, just to check with her again. And she basically said her plate is overflowing, but I asked her, do you know of any other parent of, a consumer that might be interested? Because I really feel that that's a valuable, feature of a board member. So she said she would pass it on and, or think about that. So I think we need to, continue to be, I know Mark is still working on, someone in the Pullman area. Len, where do you live?
Hopkins.
You're in the Hopkins area, so, you know, somewhere middle of the county is, you know, because we're trying to be geographically, you know, cover the whole area. So anyway, just keep that in the back of your minds. Need two children? Yeah, we need two. Yeah, because we haven't, Jane's position
Yeah.
and now Glenn's. Thanks a lot, Glenn.
You can come and visit if you want.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
What part of Florida?
We will have a special meeting down there.
Yeah. Interviews on the beach.
Okay, can I quick have a motion to postpone the compliance training to June's gonna be as bad
To
as
be
me.
determined. Diane was on, she's not on anymore. I was gonna ask her if she had a date to propose. I don't know if did you reach a conclusion together?
Yeah, Kelsey, you could decide.
How full is it? It's card meter, so.
Well, fairly full.
How long is the compliance training?
So I think we'd rather move to May, not further, if that's what you're saying. Yeah.
Half hour.
They always do a very compressed,
Yes.
do a very compressed
Yeah.
training without skipping content. So May,
I think so. I'll follow up with Diana.
okay.
It's
Provisionally,
gonna be crazy.
provisionally May is good.
Yeah, I think May.
We still have a closed session and all this vetting to do, but okay.
It's just a recertification here, so.
I know.
Yeah, I don't want to cause any trouble. So, okay, so we're gonna postpone it. I would like a motion to postpone the compliance training to our May meeting.
I move it to May. The
Any
compliance
support? Any other discussion? And it's okay, is Carp gonna be happy if we combine the two?
Oh, that won't matter.
No.
That doesn't matter, okay. So that's part of your motion, right?
Yes.
And you support,
And I support.
any other discussion? All right, all in favor say yes?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, Mark,
Hey, I'm trying
anything to add?
I'm
From
sorry?
your, anything to add from your written report?
Sure, I will be brief. The first item on my report is on page 28 of your packet. Talked about visiting the mat room tonight for ribbon cutting, but we're not gonna do that tonight. We're trying to aim for next month because the room will be ready. Again, trying to pack that May meeting as full as we can possibly pack it.
Are you buying supper?
Do that. We'll tell you, I'll work with Alice on that. So postpone that item. I mentioned that there hasn't been any progress, actually, of course, on the board opening regression, but, we are really intending to move beyond just Southwest Allegheny County consideration, given our situation. Dawn is here, obviously. Welcome, Dawn. Role been very good as she transitions, that process of transition. You don't walk out of HR without your seat being filled behind you. So she's carrying both sets of duties to a degree at this moment. So thank you for supporting Meg, but also continuing to support HR. I think I'll just jump down to the state item, MDHHS. There were no movements at the time of my report from the state related to the RFP that had been rumored. The Monday, the 16th of April, I think that was the Monday. No, it was Monday, Monday. There was a hearing in which the lawsuit that had been heard by Judge Yates was brought forward again. The petitioners, the state asked for a summary judgment meeting, closed the case. The RFP had been pulled. There's no reason to kind of hold this under his jurisdiction anymore, so please put it to bed. So the judge agreed that should be dismissed. He was deciding yet to be whether it was without prejudice or with prejudice, meaning with prejudice, meaning that it could never be brought back again. Without prejudice, meaning it could be brought back again. The state in its, the Attorney General presenting for the state indicated that they are indeed working on an RFP to replace the previous one, and that their target date for that was May 1. Who knows? We'll see. A statement by the Attorney General does not obligate the state to openly, submit that bid or put the RFP out, but it's being talked about in a very more certain way now by at least the Attorney General. So we'll see. We will see. Again, you can't prepare for something you don't have in view. We know that the contours of the last one fell afoul of the mental health code, so it obviously won't be the same as what was put out before. So anything that we would do at this point to try to anticipate what would be in it is pure speculation. So we really have to wait till that's done. The My Plan group that we created as part of a new regional entity to be prepared for the possibility of a larger region, it remains on the books. It has not really moved. It's just sitting there waiting for a final determination about whether or not it's going to be important to keep or not keep. So we'll wait and see. May 1, we'll see what comes of that and what the details are in the RFP if it indeed is issued.
Mark, is there any confirmation or not about the rumor that Judge Yates is going to retire?
I've heard that too. I don't have independent proof on that, but I would believe he's probably scheduled to retire. I don't know what happens to cases. I'm not an attorney in a court. I have no idea what happens to those cases, but
you haven't heard anything since the rumor?
No. If it were to happen, I'm sure that a case that's newly filed would be assigned by lot. I think it is that they do it in the Court of Claims and have a new judge. The other thing I want to just carry up a couple of things that Alice asked me to address during that were brought up during the executive committee meeting. You should have at your disposal this document. If you didn't, there were copies on the table. There are just a few handouts, and I'm going to quick mention what they are. You don't have to read them tonight. I just want to tell you what the three of them are. The first one is a 2-pager that describes on the front and back what are the important timelines for us to pay attention to in terms of how Medicaid policy has changed as a result of House Bill 1, OBBBA. So the things I wanted to just circle for your attention is that on the timeline, October 1 of 2026 is when changes go into effect related to the eligibility of immigrants for Medicaid. How the state is going to operationalize that depends on how the federal government requires them to operationalize that. And we've seen nothing from either yet about that. So, but I just want to draw it to your attention because that will impact OnPoint's clientele. The second thing I want to point out is on the back of the top of the back page which is, it says December 31, 2026. And that is another, item that will affect us. Again, waiting on federal and state guidance, but December 31, work and community engagement requirements or must work for your benefits, comes into play. 80 hours per month required for people who are eligible or who do not have an excuse. It applies to people who are 19 to 64. The exceptions that have been, that were in the bill allowed for people who were medically frail, and that included people with serious mental illness and people who were in substance abuse treatment to be exempted from those procedures. But the devil's always in the details. We need to see how exactly the feds and then the state will operationalize that. So will people be asked to apply for those exceptions? Or will be granted automatically on the basis of the fact that the state's already got reams of data from people who are serving to know full well who is eligible or not from that standpoint. So that's what we need to find out. That could collectively, these are concerns that will reduce the pool of people eligible for Medicaid, which affects the revenue we receive, which affects the ability to serve. That's where this all ties together. But I wanted you to have that timeline because I think it kind of helps us keep track of what hits when. There are a possibility for good faith extensions if the state needs that, but hard to know what will be acceptable as good faith. So that's it for that. The second set of pages, there's 3 pages in a row, sort of blue and green colored. This is a infographic that MDHH has put out related to the 3rd year of the demonstration for CCBHC services. We are operating in Michigan under a demonstration that the state of Michigan has with the federal government for the CCBHC project. And this is a report on what's happened as a result of services being implemented now through the 3rd year of the demonstration. OnPoint and a number of other agencies were added during the 2nd year. So you can see what the result of that has been. Very positive impacts, I would say, overall. This is not OnPoint's data, but it's the state's data. 3rd document is related to an implementation of the state policy or state. The state has been talking for a long time about implementing what they call the mental health framework, which is a new kind of benefit plan for people with Medicaid that allows for the Medicaid health plans to play a larger role in the delivery of mental health services, particularly crisis level services, but not requiring any coordination specifically with the CMH. The concern around this is that there will be, there's different motives involved in the care of folks under Medicaid from us in the health plans. So for example, if we deny care to somebody who is in the emergency room seeking a hospitalization, you know, in a sense, our revenues are the same whether we say yes or no. There's no incentive that comes from the revenue. On the health plan side, $1 not spent is $1 saved by the organization to be kept. We don't keep what we don't spend, so there's no incentive to keep people in or out of the hospital. You want to do what people need. So I'm not saying that there's any reason to disparage the health plans. I'm just saying that it's a different ballgame when you've got for-profit or even nonprofit for-profit health plans involved. And what I've attached here is some highlighting. So this is a way of putting more of the money that's in the Medicaid system under the capitation that we have the carve out into the public, or put it, I should say, into the private health insurance market rather than being restricted to working with the CMHs. So it's a bit of a camel's nose under the tent if you think about it that way. The second page or the second item I want to draw to is that the Medicaid health plans have not had a great track record over the years of trying to meet the mild and moderate needs of people in the mental health system. So there's not a great trust that what will happen here will be excellent. I hope it's excellent if it goes through, but we can't be sure about that. Finally, I'll say that the people who are served under this mental health MI cover plan are not subject to recipient rights protections. There's no recipient rights for people served under Medicaid health plans. They have enrollee rights, they can complain, but there's no rights protection system like there is in the public health system. So a denial might result in a lack of knowledge about what you can do about that. There's no one to advise or to guide people through that. So there's a lot of concern about that. The final one, I know I said final already, but the final one really is, there's an expectation in these, in all of our services, that determinations be made partly on the basis of information gathered through scoring on standardized tools. There's been a strong culture in our system that the tools that we create, that we use, generate data, but we review that data with the person and with a clinical judgment involved to determine what their needs shall be. There's a concern or worry that the numbers will be used without clinical judgment to justify care or to deny care. And that's really an inappropriate use. So there's a lot of things we have concerns about. There's obviously work being done with the legislature to try to get them to stand up and say, first, this doesn't make sense to do in the last 3 months of an administration. Second, it doesn't make a lot of sense for this to be done without any legislative input. This is a major change in the architecture of our system. And third, it doesn't make sense from the standpoint of private and public separations and the protections issues. So I just wait, I gave it to you as a copy so you could read it at your leisure. There's a lot of concern about it. It may be out of our hands, but that's what we've been asked to provide feedback by Friday. And they'll get it. So that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Questions for Mark? Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
All right, now there's another opportunity for the public to speak to the board. Anybody online? Let's go around the table for any comments from board members. Jessica, you want to start?
Go to Mexico tomorrow. I'm just going to drop my mother-in-law, so I'll be back in the city, but going to visit my family. Other than that, no, Glenn, you'll be missed. Hopefully I don't have to do anything more with recipients' rights. I don't have to pull it into that stuff anymore, except for going to meetings and, but I wish you all the best, man.
Have fun.
Thank you.
And honestly, thank you for everything you've done. Yeah, good luck.
You know, we've been together for a while here, and you're always doing a great job. Thank you. Thursday, I'm gonna have my first cataract surgery, so we'll see if I need a braille reader.
They've got it down to a science. Yes, everybody that I've seen have that done. It's fantastic results.
Not everybody that I've heard.
I don't listen to them. It's right.
They're all too eager to tell me.
I do. Yeah. My son had it, he had good luck. A coworker had it, he had fantastic. All of them no longer need glasses.
I will need glasses. Have for my whole life, so much. But
Good luck. Yes, good luck.
Glenn, it's been an honor and a privilege serving on this board with you and on recipient rights. Gonna miss you.
thank you.
So with that, that's all I got to say.
I won't miss you because I plan on visiting.
Oh, yeah.
Bye.
No, good luck.
Thank you. Well, I've been on the board, I don't know how long, a while, since the old building.
10 years.
10 years. And the growth, but the quality of care and the commitment that all the staff has grown over these 10 years. I mean, it's, I know the people in Allegan are in really good hands, and we as a board are fortunate to have the staff that cares the way you do. So I can walk away feeling good about Mark's leadership and everyone else that works with Mark to improve this agency. And I've been under 3 chairpersons, so I've had some fantastic experiences as a board member, so thank you very much.
Again, thank you. Good luck.
Thanks.
And if you're ever back around, come check up on us. Make sure.
Should be online. sit in my shorts and my lawn chair. That's my pocket.
There you go, perfect.
Yeah, we'll have to ask. Oh, so is Glenn, does he have any questions?
Be the one with the palm trees in the background.
Well, I've said many times, we'll miss you, so best of luck. And I think we've talked enough tonight, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, you get to say it, all right.
Support it.
All in favor, say yes.
Yeah.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Great.